Ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a child of the 1970s, I can basically tell you Toronto Maple Leafs were brain dead for most of the decade in relation to giving up or trading players that he never really fully established could play with Toronto or basically were disrespected. Now, if Blaine Stoughton would have stayed with Toronto, I would have felt better. But when this player was traded for him to Pittsburgh and Stoughton didn't stay, basically he just had Stoughton as a rental. And every time a Toronto Maple Leaf player would miss an easy goal in the late 70s or the early 80s, Toronto fans across Canada would say, Rick Kehoe would have scored. So we're going to talk about the legend of a sniper and a very, very underrated player for the Penguins through the years, the great Richard Thomas Kehoe, or Rick Kehoe. Now, Rick Kehoe, born July 15, 1951 in Windsor, Ontario, was a 5'11" right winger and probably one of the best right wingers of his era. Now, Kehoe played junior hockey in the OHA with the highly respected London Knights and Hamilton Red Wings. Now, because of his prowess in junior, with London his first season, he shared it with Hamilton. He only scored 5 goals that first year. But in 1971 with the Hamilton Red Wings again, he had 39 goals in 58 games and 4 goals in the playoffs. So Toronto decided to take a good chance on him and a 22nd overall pick. Now, his first season with Toronto didn't work that well, although he had some playoff time. He had some good seasoning with Tulsa, and he had 8 goals and 8 assists for 16 points. Now, 72-73, that's when he really opened out. He was at a point-a-game pace with 75 points in 77 games. Now, in 74, he only scored 18 goals, and Harold Ballard, the genius owner of the Maple Leafs, was claiming that Kehoe didn't play enough of a strong style to stay with the Leafs, so he decided to pawn him off to Pittsburgh, and Stoughton was a highly regarded prospect as well. Now, with Pittsburgh, he really, really opened out, ladies and gentlemen. From 1975 to 1983, okay? Listen to these statistics. This is the goal totals. 32, 29, 30, 29, 27, 30, 55. That infamous 81 season where there was a lot of high snipers in the NHL. A lot of 50-goal scorers or almost 90 to 100-point guys. 33 goals in 82, 29 in 83, and he tailed off with injuries with 18 and 84. So these are all the goals that he could have scored for Toronto. Now, why he was so popular in Pittsburgh, I'll tell you why. He played a very clean game. Now, he's part of a franchise in Pittsburgh that should have went farther in the playoffs, but he had himself, Jean Pronovo, and Pierre LaRouche as the 1-2-3 scoring punch for the squad. Now, although Pittsburgh made the playoffs from 75 to 82, they weren't going far past even the first round, which are the preliminaries, or the quarterfinals. They were hitting like a glass ceiling with the Islanders and the Rangers. But if they were a Western Conference team, they would easily make it to semifinals. Because back in the day, ladies and gentlemen, the Eastern Conference of the NHL was much better than the West. And it was almost like that. We saw Chicago get there on a regular basis. But Pittsburgh was the team that were 2 players away from the semifinals and another player away from the finals. And goaltending was their big problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's the best I can say. And you'll have to look at a previous podcast they did on Pittsburgh's goalie woes. Now, when he retired in 85, he was the Penguins' all-time career leading scorer, and he also had the unique record of having the lowest penalty minute per game average in Pittsburgh history. And because of this, he won the Lady Byng Trophy in 81 as a gentleman player. During that year, he scored 55 goals. Now, he played in 906 NHL games, 371 goals, 396 assists for 767 points. In 39 playoff games, he scored 4 goals and 17 assists for 21 points with 4 penalty minutes. Now, he played in the All-Star game twice in 81-82. He's also a member of the Trib Total Media Penguins All-Time Team and the Penguins Hall of Fame. And he's also on the Ring of Honor that formerly circled the Pittsburgh Civic Arena. Now, as a coach, he brought his love of hockey to behind the bench. Now he became director of pro scouting for the Penguins in '85. Upon his retirement, it was named as AC in '86. Now Kehoe's name was engraved on the Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh in '91-92 as the AC. He remained in the Penguins organization as a scout or assistant until 2002. Now, 4 games in the 2002 season, Kehoe took over for legendary Czech Olympic coach Ivan Hlinka as head coach of the Penguins. Now, he served as head coach of the Penguins from 2002 to 2003 with a 55, 81, and 14 record. Now, Kehoe was replaced by Ed Olczyk after the 2003 season. His final stint as a coach in the organization was an interim coach for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins when Michel Therrien was called up to Pittsburgh as head coach, and the Baby Pens had a 2-1 record in the 3 games Kehoe was behind the bench. Now, on September 18th, he was named to the professional scouting staff for the New York Rangers. Now, Kehoe's induction to Pittsburgh Penguins Hall of Fame, like I said, came in '92. He was put in the Western Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame in '95, which has a dynamite recognition for all the Pittsburgh squads over the years. It's tremendous. Well, take a day to visit. It's quite nice. Now, he currently resides in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. Now, strangely, never played for Team Canada at the World Championships. Still don't know why. I know there was occasions where Pittsburgh didn't make the playoffs, and he didn't play in the playoffs. I think he would have benefited Team Canada. But the problem is, if you look at his NHL totals, he had some injury bugs in a couple of seasons, and I think basically he was not tired of the lack of playoff success. Just that if you play at the highest level in Toronto and you're traded to a team that is a potential Stanley Cup contender. It was 10 years he gave to Pittsburgh, and sometimes for people 10 years is enough. He never asked to be traded, never tried to broker for the WHA. He really enjoyed playing in Pittsburgh, and a lot of my colleagues down in Pennsylvania say he was a dedicated Penguin. And Barry Lemieux arriving on the scene allowed Kehoe to retire, in my opinion, because he needed that spectacular superstar, and that's Kehoe's numbers stand for himself, because as good as a goal scorer, he was as good as a playmaker. So that's a legend of Rick Kehoe, and if you can hear that banging overnight, it's the Toronto Maple Leaf fans banging their head listening to this podcast, or have listened to podcasts, and smashing their head and saying, why did we trade Rick Kehoe for Blaine Stoughton? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? Who knows Harold Ballard? No one did, especially. Can a man be executed for being incompetent? We'll talk about that in a future podcast. Have a good day.